Hello again, everybody. Zack Attack is here with my WWE Raw review for this Monday evening, April 21st, 2014. Hope everyone had a great Easter weekend and a great 420 if you're into that sort of thing. The World to Extreme Rules continued on. We had a lot of matches made tonight for that pay-per-view. Plus, we got the finals set for the Intercontinental Championship #1 Contenders Tournament. But let's get down to the beginning of Raw with Daniel Bryan. Now, of course, as everybody knows, for those of you who didn't know, but most everybody knows that Daniel Bryan's been on a big high for the last 2 weeks, of course. He won the WWE World Heavyweight Championship and finally held it longer than 24 hours and longer than 5 minutes. His first big legitimate reign as the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Of course, he also married Brie Bella. That's why he wasn't on Raw last week, celebrating his honeymoon. He came home to a rude awakening, kind of a reality check. His father died over the weekend. I'd like to send my thoughts and prayers to Daniel and his family at this very tragic time. And, despite that, D-Bryan was going to appear on Raw tonight. I should have guessed they're going to find some way to write him out, even though he wanted to perform tonight. You could see it in his eyes as we kicked off Raw tonight. You can tell the tear marks were still in his face. You can tell he was very emotional as he walked down to that ring tonight. Especially when he looked up, when he did the yes. The fans gave him the strength tonight, and I really believe that the fans gave him that strength tonight as he walked out to the ring. You can tell his eyes were warming up, his emotions are running high, and before he could get a chance to speak with his fiancée, or should I say his wife, newlywed wife, Brie, here comes Stephanie McMahon to kind of congratulate him, unsincerely, of course, and announced that D-Bryan will indeed, as I predicted last week, will take on Kane. Not corporate Kane, not board of directors, operations guy, not the director of operations Kane, the big red monster Kane, the big red machine Kane, the devil's favorite demon Kane, the big vicious man known as Kane. So Stephanie made that. Here comes Kane's music. Now, Stephanie made her bed. She's got a line in it. She was trying to stop Kane from attacking D-Bryan. But like I said, she was one that kind of enraged the monster. Hey, she brought the old Viper out of Randy Orton a few months ago after he lost to D-Bryan at Night of Champions. And she brought the big red monster out of Kane again. And now she's got a line. And Kane came out from the crowd. And like I said, D-Bryan, even though he wanted the rest of the night, they probably wanted to find a way to write him out early. At least have him on the show, but have him be written out in some way so he can kind of mourn the death of his father still. You can tell, like I said, when he walked out, the emotion was still in his eyes. So how did they decide to write him out? They let Kane deliver once, twice, 3 times a tombstone in 3 different areas. First, Kane came out from the crowd, threatening to chokeslam. D-Bryan tried to fight back with a big punch, but Kane delivered, like I said, not once, twice, but 3 times a tombstone. First tombstone on the floor. Second tombstone on the steel steps. They brought out the gunny, trying to wheel out D-Bryan out. But Kane wasn't done with that second one. Like I said, the third tombstone on the table. Oh my God, Kane killed Bryan. You bastard! I said that because Stephanie said, you bastard, after that. That's why I had to make that little South Park reference. Of course, oh my God, they killed Kenny. You bastard. Well, we've heard creepy bastard chants in TNA. Now we've got you're a bastard chants in WWE. A little bit of you're a bastard when he was walking out. So D-Bryan got written out tonight by being taken out by Kane. Well, not only does it enhance their feud, it also gives D-Bryan an excuse to kind of be on the show, but only for a short while, be kind of written out so he can kind of have his private time to mourn the death of his father. So at least he was on the show tonight. At least to satisfy his fans. Because he wasn't on last week. But hey, like I said, thoughts and prayers continued to D-Bryan. And of course, the old saying goes, the way you kind of go through a death mourning is to absorb in your work. And that's probably what D-Bryan's going to do. He's going to absorb in his work, especially he has work cut out for him as he'll take on Kane at Extreme Rules for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Speaking of Extreme Rules, we got, of course, a match set for the Intercontinental Championship at Extreme Rules. Biggie Langston will defend the title against who? Well, we have a tournament that started last week for the number one contendership for that title. We have the semifinals tonight. First semifinal match involved BNB, Bad News Barrett, taking on the Irishman himself, the Celtic Warrior, Sheamus. The matches of this tournament in the semis, this is probably the best match of the semis. This is a very physically demanding match from both these guys. They just beat the crap out of each other. It was just a war of attrition between these guys. Just probably because they knew what kind of, kind of went down here with great moves. There was some great, like both guys nailed the big finishes. Both guys kicked out of big moves, like the Bray Wyatt Barrett did the big move, the Rent of Change move. Then Sheamus did the White Noise. He did try the Brogue Kick many times. I thought that one of the few times that Barrett tried to book him at elbow, like he was setting it up, I thought like Barrett was gonna duck. Barrett was gonna nail that elbow, try to nail that elbow, and Sheamus would duck and come in to Brogue Kick, but that didn't exactly happen. That's when the White Noise came, and that was just a brutal matchup. The last 10 minutes was pretty good, like the back and forth action, the quick falls, the near fall for both these guys. But the ending came as after that White Noise and the kick out from Barrett, Sheamus was tossing Barrett off the top outside to the floor. Barrett was on the floor. Sheamus was going for a big move, trying to do a big splash through the middle rope, but in midair, as Sheamus was going for that big move through the rope, bang, got nailed with the bullhammer elbow and the 1-2-3 victory for Bad News Barrett, advancing to the Intercontinental Championship Tournament Final. Of course, we would find out who would be taking on Barrett in that final, as we would take a look at that match later on, the semifinal match. RVD taking on Cesaro. But till then, we got a little segment. We got to call a little 6-person tag. We got Los Matadores taking on with their partner in crime, El Torito. It was Primo and Diego and Fernando with El Torito taking on the Job Squad. 3M, 4MB? No, I knew that. I read over the weekend that Hornswoggle was wrestling El Torito. They wrestled on main event and also wrestled on SmackDown. I didn't see it, but I read about it. But I didn't know that Hornswoggle was now a member of 3-man band. Or should we call it 4-man band now? But still, it's a Job Squad. This is exactly what happened. Like El Torito. Like, that'd be interesting to see that. I know a lot of people are lobbying to see El Torito in a one-on-one match with Hornswoggle at Extreme Rules. It should be like a fucking extreme match. Like a stipulation match. We don't have much stipulation matches yet in Extreme Rules. We got John Cena, Bray Wyatt, and a steel cage. We need more stipulation type matches for Extreme Rules, but we'll probably get those stipulations probably next week. So, but El Torito came in like one of the last Matadores started first, but El Torito and Hornswoggle were both eager to get their hands on each other, and they kind of brawled it out a little bit with some big moves from El Torito until Hornswoggle tagged out, and basically El Torito did all the dirty work. After he had his partners do all the dirty work, getting gored. Torito going the hell out of Drew. And like I said, the Matadors helped him out with the big victory for Los Matadors and another loss for the Job Squad. The 4/3MB, 3 or 4MB, whatever. So we'll see how this feud develops with the El Torito and Hornswoggle. Like I said, it's interesting to see this feud kind of build up. It'd be very interesting to see. We don't see a lot of midgets wrestle anymore because they didn't try midget wrestling 10 years ago to try to bring back midget wrestling in WWE on SmackDown 10 years ago, but it didn't work because you had midget wrestling, or should I say little people. Sorry, gotta be PC around here, politically correct. That little people were wrestling back in the 80s, especially at WrestleMania 3. Forgot the name, like the Haiti Kid. When they teamed up with Hillbilly Jim and King Kong Bundy in WrestleMania 3. So they've had little people wrestle before. But now they got 2 more little people back in the WWE. So we'll see if this feud kind of develops. Speaking of feuds that are developing, on with our next segment involving the newly reunited Evolution. Of course, the core 3 out of the 4. Of course, A lot of people have their opinions about Ric Flair not being a part of Evolution. I think Ric Flair does not need to be a part of it. I don't think Ric Flair doesn't need to be a part of it. He would add on to it, but just those three guys, the core three, having Triple H, Orton, and Batista again as a core. The seeds have been planted for weeks for this reunion. I've smelt it from a mile away, and of course, it came to its ultimate culmination last week when the Evolution beat the crap out of the Shield. Of course, building up for the big match like the Extreme Wars. I'm hearing rumors about War Games. Maybe at SummerSlam, but I would love to see that. I would love to see War Games in WWE. But if they already got a steel cage match, I don't think they're going to have War Games if they already have a steel cage match. But we can all can dream, my friends. We can all can dream. Anyway, Evolution came out, but talking about how the Shield kind of disobeyed the authority, and that justice will be served in Extreme Wars. They all say believe in the Shield. Should say believe in Evolution. Because Evolution was talking their little jibber jabber. Here comes the Shield coming out and trying to beat the crap out of Evolution, but in their fancy suits. And of course, the Shield taught their little jibber jabber, saying, "Hey, basically, we're gonna kick your ass at Evolution, kick your Evolution ass at Extreme Wars, your little power, your little cream puffs. We kind of secured your little powder puff, your little cream puff Orton for months, playing your little corporate games, but now we're playing the game at Extreme Wars and playing the Evolution game. And Evolution's trying to back away, and the Shield's like, hey, we don't want to wait till Extreme Wars. We want you now. But as the Shield were going to go at Evolution, they called out the dogs. The 11 men that kind of did their dirty work last week to set up the Evolution reunion. Of course, the 11 men that were involved in the 11-on-3 match last week, like I said, it set up the Evolution reunion. 3MB, Barrett, Titus O'Neil, etc., etc. So Evolution hid behind them like cowards, as the Shield would say. So this is very intense. You have two great factions. The Shield, I've kind of grown to like them. When they first came in, 2012, I wasn't fond of them, but I think they developed the style a lot more, especially these last few months. And the great feud against the Wyatts and this feud against Evolution is going to be a very intriguing feud, and I hope we get a great payoff at the pay-per-view Extreme Rules. They need to add a stipulation to this match. Whether it's an Extreme Rules match, a street fight, tables match, I don't care. They need to add a stipulation for this match. War Games, I would love, but we can all can dream. Now, with our next matchup, as we get ready for that feud to culminate in the pay-per-view, we got the Usos, the tag team champions, taking on the Brotherhood, Cody Rhodes and Goldust. I smell tension, as we would see in this next matchup with Ryback, with Goldberg, Ryback, and of course Curtis Axel commenting at ringside. Straight up smelling. I smell a tag team title shot for the team known as Ryback, maybe on the pay-per-view pre-show. And this time one-on-one, not in a fatal four-way match like it was at WrestleMania. But anyway, it was kind of weird to see these two teams face off. The Usos against the Brotherhood, two babyface teams. Two very popular teams face off. And they're kind of multi-generational because you got the sons of Dusty Rhodes, taking on the sons of Rikishi. Multiple generations in this match. This match is pretty interesting, not just because of the face-off with these generations, but also the faces, babyface teams. It was a very good matchup for both these guys. Usos kind of dominated early having a matchup. But of course, Goldust got in there and looked very good in this matchup. So did Cody Rhodes with his big offense. It was kind of an interesting match, like I said, to see these two teams face off. But of course, the ending came as Cody Rhodes was trying to deliver the big moves. He didn't realize there was a blind tag in from one of the Usos. And then as Cody was going for the big crossroads move, like I said, the blind tag got in and got super kicked to hell. And of course, got the big move of Jimmy getting the big pin and the win for the Usos after that blind tag from Jay. Jimmy blind tagging himself in from Jay, and of course, the pin and the win. But as the Usos were celebrating, Cody Rhodes was being trying to be consoled by Goldust, but Cody shoved him off. I heard rumors. I've been reading rumors from moms like, oh, the Shield's going to break up. Well, they're not broken up yet. Oh, Jack Swagger and Cesaro is going to break up. That is true. Especially after we saw in the match coming up for the Intercontinental Championship Tournament semifinal. That's coming up. And I heard the Wolves were going to break up. Well, that's probably going to be true. Because Cody Rhodes kind of shoved off Goldust after the loss against the Usos. I think it's going to build up towards a Rhodes feud. Very intriguing to see these two feud off again. They were brothers for, they feuded a couple of times, but to have them be a team and then break up, be very intriguing to see this feud go off. We'll see when the official tour is going to happen, but the seeds are planted for the Cody Rhodes Goldust feud to happen. So there you go. Now on our next matchup, a Divas match. It's kind of a weird wall when you got two Divas matches tonight. You have one Divas match being Emma taking on Layla. Of course, the men were both represented at ringside, of course, referring to Emma's little odd couple, little partner, Santino Marella, and of course, Fandango for Layla. Now, we've seen this kind of weird love relationship between Emma and Santino developing, clutches and shit. But I think the true love relationship starting to show as Emma was, I thought she was going to get to win the Emma lock. And I thought Layla may win because, her and Fandango's been winning a lot lately. But indeed it was Emma who was going to get the win by pulling out a female version of the Cobra, proving that this whole relationship was a friendship may turn into a relationship with Santino, like I said, especially with her pulling out it was a weird looking Cobra. It was like all pink with the female lips, and of course that targeted and snapped and attacked on Layla, and the big win, should I say, and the victory for Emma following the female version of the Cobra, Miss Cobra. So Miss Cobra struck, and like I said, got the victory for Emma. It's kind of weird to see a pink Cobra, and Santino looked very pleased. And his Cobra was high, and maybe his little Cobra was getting a little bit high, if you know what I mean. Anyway, on with our next matchup, which is the other semifinal. Who's going to face Wade Barrett in the finals? We would find out as Cesaro with a new theme song. Because he got rid of the American manager and the song. He was with the new theme's cool. I gotta warm up to it. Like when superstars switch theme songs, it takes me a while to warm up to it. I loved Orton's first theme song. Hey, it's nothing you can say. You've never been mine today. And of course, the first time I heard, I hear voices in my head. It took me a long time to warm up to it. But I'm starting to like voices. So it may take me a while with this new theme as well for Cesaro. Take me a while to warm up to it. So he took on RVD. Now, with Wade Barrett in the finals, I was like, it would have been interesting to see a bad guy versus bad guy final. Hey, we had two face tag teams. Usos take on Cody Rhodes and Goldust earlier, even though they may not be face anymore because Cody may turn heel, as we saw at the end of that match. It would have been interesting to see a bad guy versus bad guy final. And I said to myself, as the Saw was taking control of the matchup with the big uppercuts to RVD, I was like, the only way Cesaro can lose is if Jack Swagger gets involved. That's exactly what happened. As Cesaro was taking control, like I said, RVD was trying to hit his best high-flying offense. But of course, Cesaro's big strength and power with the big uppercuts would get the best of RVD as he was trying to set up for the Cesaro swing. Cue the Real American music and cue Jack Swagger to distract Cesaro. Of course, Cesaro got distracted, got tossed out of the ring by RVD, and got attacked by Jack Swagger, nailing him outside the ring, causing a countout. And RVD got the victory via countout thanks to Jack Swagger, causing Cesaro the matchup. Now, I said it last week that Cesaro was going to be my guy. I picked him to win this thing. I thought he was going to win the whole damn thing. But I think because the script got leaked last week, I think they had to change their plans because the script got leaked. A lot of scripts got leaked last week. The Wall script got leaked. And the main event script got leaked. A lot of scripts got leaked on the internet last week. So I think maybe that's why they switched it up. But I smell Cesaro. I'm hearing he's taking on Swagger on Friday. But I think Cesaro should be added. I bet you it would be a triple threat match for the Intercontinental Championship. Whether it's, I think it's going to be Cesaro will be inserted into the match against whoever wins the tournament, which is going to be RVD and Wade Barrett final. And I'm guessing Wade Barrett's going to win now since I don't want, like you said, I've said earlier, there's face against face tag team earlier, Usos and Wolves and Goldust. I don't think they're going to have RVD take on Big E, face against face. So I think Wade Barrett's going to win the tournament now. You saw the crowd reaction during the match between him and Sheamus. It was kind of split 50-50. Forgot to mention that. There was a lot of let's go Barrett, let's go Sheamus. Like, Barrett's been getting good pops lately ever since he returned to wrestling finally after getting off that fucking podium and getting back in the ring. So the fans have been kind of popping for him as much as they've been popping for Cesaro. So if there's one other guy who should deserve the win besides Cesaro, it has to be Barrett. And Barrett is a former IC champion. So I think Barrett will win the tournament and will take on Big E at the pay-per-view. But I think Cesaro will be added. You're making a triple threat. That's what I think is going to happen. They're going to make it a triple threat and insert Cesaro in it after getting screwed by Swagger. Like I said, I had a sneaky feeling that if Cesaro was to lose, it was to be because of Swagger's interference, and that's exactly what happened. I called it. But good matchup. But I think Cesaro's gonna get a shot no matter what. He'll be champ one day. But I think he should get inserted into the match. Now, on with the next little event of affairs involving the Divas Champion Paige in a non-title match against Oksana. Of course, we would have Paige take on Tamina at the pay-per-view for the Divas Championship. Now, I was disappointed, like many others, that they're not going to have an AJ Paige feud. I mean, AJ's taking some time off, which I totally understand. But it kind of ruins our dreams for a Paige AJ feud. Just the feud would have been amazing. So, but giving Tamina a big push, that's kind of interesting. Like, something bad comes something good. Tamina's been in the shadow of AJ, being AJ's bodyguard. So Tamina's getting a big push by being instead of the title picture since AJ's gone for a while. So we got Tamina taking on Paige at the pay-per-view. Paige took on Oksana this week. Now, last week, Paige took on Alicia Fox and didn't have much offense. Kind of got a butt whipped for most of the fight, being mostly in the defense until she came back with a big submission move. Well, she was more the offensive early on. She showed some okay offense tonight, and of course got pummeled again by Oksana. But coming back strong with some big clotheslines, and of course a submission finish, the Scorpion Crosslock. And I'm starting to like Paige. Paige is cool. I like her look. She's different, and she's young too. She's got a bright future ahead of her. She's only 21. She is the youngest Divas champion of all time. So she's got a long way to go. She can. The only way is up for her. She's very young. She's got a long time to kind of hold herself and get herself a long, lengthy career. She's a former NXT Divas champion. Speaking of that, did she get stripped of the title? They're going to have a tournament. Well, I don't watch NXT that much, but they may do something with that since she's now in the main roster now. A lot of people debut in main rosters. We saw more debut promos for Bo Dallas and Adam Rose. Of course, Bo Lee and the Exotic Express are coming to War. I thought they'd make the debuts tonight, but I think they make their debuts after Extreme Rules. That's my prediction. That Adam Rose and Bo Dallas will either debut at Extreme Rules or after Extreme Rules. That's my thought process. So there you go. Paige gets a victory with the submission. Speaking of submission wins, we're on to our next matchup involving Sin Cara, being the next victim in the continued undefeated streak of the Bulgarian Brute, the super athlete, Alexandra Rusev. Of course, being accompanied by that ravishing Russian, Lana. I'm not a big fan of Rusev. He just pees people. But Lana's hot. She's cute. Very cute. I like the ponytail, the blonde hair. She is indeed. She lives up to that nickname. She is a ravishing Russian. Indeed. Indeed. Sky reference. I even went to a SmackDown once. I even bought a sign that said Indeed when that was popular. And I bought a yes sign to a wall. That was 2 years ago when the yes chants were getting kind of popular after WrestleMania 28. And I bought an Indeed sign. So, boom. Anyway, Hootie Kong got his butt whipped / call, and ain't no shitty gold lighting. But of course, Rusev crush. And indeed put the Sin Cara into that accolade in the tapping out. We found out tonight that Rusev will be taking out in a handicap match at Extreme Rules R-Truth, and Consequences Creed. Xavier Woods. So that match is made. And I bet you Rusev's gonna kill them both. Speaking of getting killed, on to our next matchup. A WWE fan poll, WWE app poll for John Cena. Now, of course, as we all know, John Cena will take on Bray Wyatt in a steel cage. But of course, we all know John wants to get his hands on Bray before the pay-per-view. But the only way he can get his hands on Bray tonight was for the fans to kind of give him the inevitable task of taking on all three members of the Wyatt family in a handicap match. That was one of three choices. Either you can vote John Cena against Harper, 1-on-1, 1-on-2, Harper and Warren, or 1-on-3. Well, I even voted for this 1-on-3 because I want Super Cena to get his butt whipped. I'm starting to turn over a new leaf. I'm not as aggressively hating Cena, but I still like when he gets his ass whipped. I turned over a new leaf since WrestleMania. My friends kind of show me the light almost. But I'm still not a big fan of his character though. You need to turn heel. But let me say this. If they can turn Hornswoggle heel and make him be a part of 3MB, they can turn John Cena heel, but they don't have the fucking balls. Come on, man. You can turn Hornswoggle heel, yet you can't turn Cena heel? Bullshit. Anyway, so it's 3-on-1. They said it after Mania Raw. Bray's gonna kill you. Wyatt's gonna kill you. That's exactly what happened to John Cena. He, of course, tried to outrun the numbers, but that's why that's why the fans wanted the 3-on-1. Specifically, the Cena haters were probably the ones that voted for it. They wanted to see Cena take on all three members and get his ass beat. But you can tell John Cena's face when he found out that the fans chose the situation with the handicap match. There were some funny spots, especially Bray kind of toying with Cena, kind of like he was setting up for a big kick, but he missed, and he kind of danced with Cena. Welcome to Dancing with the Stars. He was like doing a little bit of dance. Last dance with John Cena. One more time to kill the pain. Tom Petty, Mary Jane's Last Dance reference. Anyway, basically it was almost like kind of a typical Super Cena match. Cena trying to outrun the numbers with his never say die attitude, his never give up mantra on the line as he just got his ass pummeled by all three members of Wyatt. Ended up being a disqualification victory for Mr. Cena. As Bray was trying to nail Cena with the Sister Abigail move a few times. And he later set him up for it after the matchup following the 3-on-1 attack. As Cena was trying to get the victory, trying to outrun it with the FU. I'll never call it attitude adjustment ever. He got triple team, goes the DQ victory, and he got his ass pulled, got the Sister Abigail, and we end the show with John Cena laid out and Bray Wyatt hovering over his fallen body, singing along with the fans. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole wide world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. That's the thing after WrestleMania. You know, after Mania Raw is the birth of many chants. After Mania Raw in 2012 is the birth of the Yes chants. After Mania Raw last year is the birth of the Fandangoing. And after Mania Raw this year, the birth of the He's got the whole wide world in his hands chants. So that's how we end Raw with Cena getting pummeled and getting sung to by the followers of the Wyatt family. With He's got the whole world in his hands indeed. Ending Raw with Cena falling. And following the Buzzards. But we'll see what goes down as Cena will be taking on Bray Wyatt at Extreme Rules Steel Cage match. Daniel Bryan Kane is of course made. And it is going to be an Extreme Rules match. I knew they were going to add a stipulation for that match as well. Add a stipulation, Extreme Rules, D. Bryan Kane. And that's going to benefit Kane because you can tell what he did tonight with the tombstones on the floor, the steps, the table. 3 times the tombstone. Evolution Shield, they better make a stipulation for that match, whether it's a table match or something. And then Paige and Tamina for the Divas Championship. We're going to see a Divas stipulation. If TNA can do a knockout street fight, they can do a Divas street fight, but like trying to turn Cena heel WWE don't have the balls to do that, to make a Divas match a stipulation match. And then Big E will take on either Bad News Barrett or RVD. The finals are next week. And I think Cesar should be added. And speaking of next week, Hugh Jackman's coming back on Raw to promote his new X-Men movie. So we'll see him back on Raw next week. And Sandow may take on Ziggler next week, because Ziggler's trying to make peace with Hugh Jackman after getting legitimately injured the last time Hugh Jackman came in, back when Zack Ryder was relevant. Woo woo woo. Woo 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 woo. That is it for the Attack review, my review of Raw this evening. Thank you all again for watching. With that in mind, you've all been attacked by the review from Zach. Thank you all again for watching. Have a great rest of your Monday night and the rest of your week, everybody. See ya. Yes. Yes. And yes.